Hello, it's your greasy pal Sam here on Only Stupid Answers with my best pal,
DJ Woldridge.
talking about Watchmen episode 4. I'm very excited to talk about If You Don't Like My Story, Write Your Own. Quickie synopsis.
Yes.
Reclusive trillionaire Lady Trieu finally enters the stage with a mysterious offer. With Blake getting close to the truth of her cover-up, Angela enlists Looking Glass for help, and the Lord trains 2 new servants.
Yeah, that's it. Those are them's the beats.
So to help us get through this review and also dive into some theories we got about just everything, let's go ahead and hop into it. So first off, we meet the Clarks. Yeah. Very nice Oklahoma family. Eggs, a lot of egg imagery.
Their name was the Clarks?
The Clarks. You get some vibes with that. Yeah. Very strong Superman vibes with that. It's
they're not able to have a kid. They're trying to sell eggs by the side of the road, which, by the way, at that point, I thought maybe this was a flashback to like the 50s or something. People still selling eggs by the side of the road?
They sell fruit by the side of the road still.
Sure.
Yeah.
Okay. That's the same.
It's the fruit of the chicken.
And then it's almost like a sitcom intro that we were getting. It almost felt like we were getting into a Too Many Cooks like intro with an intro. And then Lady Trieu comes up and throws off some mad Lex Luthor vibes.
Yep. It's you mentioned it, but it's like the vibe of what if Lex Luthor knew Superman was coming? Yeah. He bribed the Kents to never.
Yeah, he bought the Kent farm.
Yeah. I like this idea. Yeah. But we're going to get into our theories later, and I will put this out there. That night could have been when the owl ship crashed when we saw the 7th Cavalry raid in the very first episode. It could have been. It looked more like it came out of space, though.
Yes.
And it had like debris and stuff. It looked like a fireball. It didn't look like a crashing ship.
This was happening before. This was years prior to that because this was the land that they were building the Millennium Clock on.
If we remember correctly, that does line up.
Yeah.
So I just want to mention that in case people do write that in the comments.
Yeah.
Getting ahead.
So yeah, she buys the land. So whatever crashes there now belongs to her, which implies that she knew something was going to crash there. She knew it was something that she wanted. Yeah,
she's a couple million steps ahead, and I'm going to guess this is after she's purchased Veidt's company.
Yes, because she's building the Millennium Clock, so that would be the case. Yeah,
and we do learn the time. We knew the timetable before, but confirming it's been 4 years since Veidt's been seen by somebody presumed dead now. Yeah, so that starts. Now we're back to the main storyline. We followed Laurie Blake in the last episode. We met her long, slender friend.
Petey.
Not Petey.
Not
the
Petey.
other one. The one that lives in a suitcase.
Yes.
But boing. That was last episode. But we follow Angela with her cover-up of the disappearance of Will. We know that the car is back, and also his pills were left, and we are getting vibes that Will did that on purpose to kind of keep her
going. Yeah. So she goes to she gets a call from the family center and goes to look at literally her family tree. And it starts to link back Will to the couple that we saw at the very beginning of Watchmen and his son. So that is confirmed that Will is that little boy. And as she's doing that, the car crashes, and now she's hooked back up with Laurie. And I'm starting to get the sense of like we're kind of setting up like a buddy cop scenario with Laurie and Angela. And I love it, and I want more of it, and I'm a big fan.
Also, I like that everyone agrees that Laurie's weird. Laurie's weird. Like we were talking about this during our live stream, which you can join us patreon.com/onlystupidanswers on the nights that this show airs live.
Yes.
You can watch along with us, and we can dissect it together in the comment section. It's been very fun so far. Hopefully you can join us next week. I'm on board with people agreeing that Laurie acts weird, but we're talking about during the stream is that if you had sex with a god and you had a very complicated, manipulative relationship like that, I'd feel...
And also you knew about the cover-up of to keep the world from ending, and just a litany, there's just a list of things.
No, I'd be really, if maybe she's really gung-ho now of finding the truth for everything else because she's desperate for like a sliver of goodness out there. Maybe
100%.
Getting ahead of ourselves. And we now know that she's the acting chief of this investigation, is working out of Judd's office in our police precinct or whatever. This Oklahoma super vigilante cave where they work.
And then Angela goes to Looking Glass to have him look into the pills that Will left behind.
And of course he lives in a bunker.
Yeah, he at least does his photography.
He's got a hobby.
Yeah.
And you brought up a good point that like why wouldn't anyone live in a bunker after what happened?
Not only a giant squid got dropped on New York, but it sent out a psychic wave that murdered people.
And it's still more babies come out.
And it's interesting. It looks like that's getting ahead of us all. It looks like we're going to focus more on Looking Glass in the next episode. He has a very interesting relationship. It looks like with just how he's our window into how do people process as far as they know, extra dimensional entities.
Well, he's interested in them.
Yes.
He studies them more than any other character on the show so far.
And it's interesting that he seems kind of like a mirror opposite of Angela's husband, who is not into any, just is matter of fact, like, oh, you want to talk about what happened to Judd after he died? He's nothing.
He's with the kids.
Nothing.
Which it was, I like that. So he's a little dead inside because he just told a lie. I'm guessing that's what the reaction was.
Possibly. Yeah, maybe.
Because we learned that he lied to Lori and he doesn't like lying.
Yes.
But also something's up with him. And also maybe he just acts weird because he's lying about what happened on the White Knight.
And we also found out that he had an accident in Vietnam.
Yeah.
Whatever that is.
And both of her parents died. We're piecing this together with you, gang. So we're kind of laying out all the pieces that we know. But as we get...
at least throw out... Listen, man, if you don't want to do the whole heaven thing, at least throw out the whole, like,
maybe
your matter becomes part of the universe. You become part of the universe. Your matter goes on.
I would have said, like,
that's still science.
You go off to where the squids go after they dissolve into the earth.
I'm just saying, you can still be science and still give them a nice, like, hey, your matter still matters. You know what I mean?
Interesting. So we see that the 7th Cavalry meets in a church. What if like that's basically at this point like weird, like Christianity's basically been relegated to just these people from like the Nixon era who live in Nixonvilles and the 7th Cavalry. Interesting take. Probably not what's going to happen because Angela didn't seem super on board with the story that he was telling.
And also we started to get hints at like why the nun imagery with Sister Night, which I'm very interested. Like, I'm glad Lori. There are a lot of like, hey, isn't this strange? Because when Angela goes down, she's like, "Looking glass, you're weird," and he's like, "I'm weird, you're weird," and they both agree that she's weird. everybody's weird in this show.
Oh yeah, I also speaking of weird, we meet our silver friend, the Silver Surfer, Silver Slippery Surfer. He shows up after we see.
That is easily one of my favorite. That's up there with Panda. That's like one of my favorite scenes in the whole thing.
What goggles does he have on?
It's the perfect like Watchmen-esque situation where it's just outside of our world. It's still superhero heightened, but not like
fun.
Yeah, exactly. It's not fun. It is not
Panda's
fun.
not fun because he's wearing a gross panda mask. We like him.
Yeah.
We like him. I don't know about you guys. We like Panda.
Yeah. Big fan of Panda over here.
But so he is witnessing Angela cover up evidence.
Yes.
And there's no way that he's not Petey. That's our theory.
Yeah,
now.
He just has that Petey lankiness going on.
And also, I think there's something to a super
Petey
fan,
would be like a stupid superhero.
Hey, work with what you got.
Yeah.
It's very important. He's not going to bulk up and be like the comedian type body type.
No, he's not.
He's not smart enough to be Ozymandias, so he created his own persona. Is our theory, and I'd say maybe why he was specifically sent here along with Lori. Maybe Lori doesn't know that he's able to gather intel this way, and since he has an encyclopedia online that catalogs all of this, maybe this is how he's able to slip in and out of places.
Yeah,
literally
maybe
to get that information. And there's more. I'm gonna guess it's probably Petey. Also, he's such a super fan of masked vigilantes, and we learned that he is not a fan of the American hero story. He finds that it's missing a lot of important information.
It's very historically inaccurate. Yeah.
Also interesting that they mentioned that. It almost seems like the American Hero Story is omitting what happened between the comedian and Laurie's mom because
which wouldn't you?
But I mean, like if we're going with the avenue of American Horror Story, they never omit.
That is true.
Like that.
Yeah.
But who knows?
Yeah.
We will learn more about American Hero Story as it progresses.
As it unfolds, we also get to further investigation. We've discovered that the thing that picked up Will's car is one of these drones that works at the Millenium clock, which puts our Lori and Angela in direct conversation with True, who we saw at the beginning, Lady Trieu, who we saw at the beginning of the episode.
A trillionaire.
A trillionaire. Don't mix it up. She's a trillionaire. And she has a statue of old Ozymandias because he is old.
Yeah, we're respecting our elders. And that's a really good, I kind of like it as a good burn and a reminder that like that was before, but I've got an even worse idea to save the world.
Yeah. And also, Angela knows that because they exchange in Vietnamese, basically like, hey, I know what your deal is. And so that'll be interesting to see how that plays out. And I think, some theories with with Treiu in a relationship to Veidt and all that stuff.
Also,
we'll discuss in a little bit.
Worth mentioning, I think this episode did a good job of explaining why Laurie goes by Blake now. Because no one knew. Angela doesn't know who Laurie Blake is. So in PDpedia, they talk about that in the 90s, she and Night Owl went out and fought crime, and they were arrested. And I believe there was a plea deal for Laurie, if I'm remembering correctly, and that's how she ended up working for the FBI, and they're hunting down vigilantes. But Night Owl did not make the same deal, or there's complications to that. We already know that he's kind of unstable too at the end of the Watchmen comic, where he beats the snot out of someone in a bar for literally no reason. But I just kind of like that it felt like an in-world explanation for that. But you mentioned the statue of Ozymandias. Let's go ahead and hop into that. Because
probably the most unsettling thing the show's done yet.
Oh my God. Oh my God. This is like similar vibes to Hereditary for those who need that, or Mother. I got some similar vibes to that.
So basically there's a fetus farm in a lake that I guess
a hatchery.
That he harvests his own help. Which, because I wouldn't want to interact with them either.
You might call clones. Oh, you guys in the comments were eating me alive. You were like, there's no way it's clones. This guy, don't get into semantics of what you want to call it. Them's the clones.
They're genetically engineered people. And it's interesting. So to finish off this before we get too deep into the...
we got a theory at the end.
With Treiu and genetically engineered people and all that stuff. So he straight up says that he is in a prison, although that it is implied that might not have been how it was presented to him, because he said he thought it was a paradise at first, but it's a prison, and he was trying to get out, and he had a bad night, and so he killed all of his, or they killed he told them to kill each other, so they're all dead. He's
covered in blood, so I'm going to guess
he participated a little bit.
A bit of a purge.
So he has to microwave up his new help, and they catapult them into the sky, and then they vanish.
So a theory I believe you threw out, or I'll give some credit to the comment section. Possibly on Mars.
So I was suggested last week after our conversation that maybe it was Dr. Manhattan that was keeping Veidt on Mars, because that's where we know Dr. Manhattan is. I still think that he's not on this planet because of the spacesuit. And you suggested the idea of just, instead of him trying to travel someplace else, it's literally just trying to be able to walk out, which dealt with the armor and the servant freezing last time. But I think because at the beginning of the episode, the way Lady Trieu gets the farm is that she gives a family that cannot have a child. And now we know there's these clones. So basically she's into genetic engineering somehow.
And she gave the Gen 1 version of that to Ozymandias so he can have his own servants. Because I'm going to guess they don't have some steampunky giant microwave that you put the babies into.
100% no.
That was pretty morbid.
And so it was rough. And the cracking and all the sound. I mean, they ended up fine after that, but it's not like they popped or anything. But
they're not
still,
like people. They're it's complicated. But I want to hold on to all that because I want to kind of dive into the theory. We end up going back to, let's call it Earth, where Angela and the rest of our cast of merry characters are hanging out together. And I'm trying to make sure I follow all these steps specifically. We have a really good moment between her and her husband. And man, I really like him on this show.
He's really good.
Very mysterious, and I can't wait to learn more about it. And the Rorschach episode next week is going to be interesting, but we learn more about Lady Trieu's daughter, that she's having memories about. Seem like a death march.
Nightmares. She says nightmares. And also she sleeps with an intravenous drip in, which is weird. And it sounds like something from the Vietnam War.
It sounds not good. Not good at all. It also sounds like possibly let me go ahead and pull up the correct term for this. I'm trying to remember something that happened specifically in history. But yes, we see that Will is there. We know that Will was going to be there. And he can walk.
Yes.
And we know Laurie has basically figured out, just kind of going back a little bit, that she knows that there was a phone call to Angela's house, and that she has a grandfather that would be about 100 so-and-so was a cop.
She finds the fingerprint in the car.
Fingerprints.
And it goes to Will, who was a cop in New York.
And would need to have a wheelchair, which matches the print, or the
print that she found last episode.
Oh my goodness. Sorry. I wanted to say that the nightmare that the daughter had is kind of like the baton death march during World War II, and it's a nightmare. It's awful, and it just feels similar to that. Maybe in Vietnam, when we saw what the comedian was doing and Dr. Manhattan was doing, maybe something similar to that happened.
Yeah,
but nothing good happened that turned Vietnam into a state.
Yeah. Very true. And so I think diving into the big reveal, basically that we're dealing with genetic engineering on some level. I think it's Lady Trieu who's incarcerated, Ozymandias. However, Lady Trieu does have some insight into things that are happening. And the only character we know that can tell the future is Dr. Manhattan. So, which also leads to the idea of a couple questions with Will, who is in league with Lady Trieu, is A, how is he so old? And B, how is he able to hang Judd at being so old? Perhaps there is a young clone of Will that we have yet to meet that Lady Trieu cloned of him. So when he says, I hung Judd, that is technically true. A version of him hung Judd, just not the version we've met.
A healthy, spry
one that is theoretically Hooded Justice.
And because we get the vibe that True's daughter is a clone of her, and possibly,
or at least of something, but probably her.
And I would say that possibly Lady Trieu might be, based on the memory she has, might be a clone of someone else.
Well, so
like legacy is, she's not having kids; she's just giving her memories to new clones as it goes down the line.
You also brought up an idea for, because I've been for a while now. It just feels like we're going to introduce like a new supernatural element beyond Dr. Manhattan. You brought up an interesting idea of what that could be within the idea of this show's focus on legacy.
I'm getting. But a lot of people are saying that maybe Dr. Manhattan is the one who's imprisoning Ozymandias. It seems clear in this episode that that's not the case. Possibly,
at least directly,
maybe not directly, but I think I'd say he was tempted with the company buyout that maybe you could travel the stars and we could get you there or something like that, or like we can put you in a place where you're free from all outward distractions. And you can do whatever you want.
And we know she can create it because she basically created a Vietnamese biome in the Millennium Clock. So she created this biome theoretically on Mars.
And think about Veidt and his kind of character with the kind of runaway ego that he has. The idea of using his technology to like build a biome again, it's like, no, guess what? We'll one up you. We're going to take what you did and it inspired us, like the statue of him as an old man, and we're going to do one better. We're going to create one on another planet, and you're able to live there and you'll have servants wherever you want, and you'll be taken care of from now to the end of your life, or whatever that means. But when it comes, that's my theory. And but when it comes to Dr. Manhattan, I'm going to throw out there that he's not on Mars whatsoever. He's not there, and I think that and
the news report, because we discussed
of a live stream,
the live stream might just be a cover to keep people from looking for Veidt.
And it's a good way of kind of like having this like overhanging threat too. There's something there to it as well. But yeah, don't look for Veidt up on Mars. Just go to the phone booth and you can talk to Dr. Manhattan through that. It's an easy thing. If you're a trillionaire, you can put those in every major city you want. But when it comes to the crash landing that we see in the first episode, possibly we could see something like a follow-up to Dr. Manhattan, and I want to put it that way because it's vague enough, because I don't think I need a man who comes in and who's all red, and he has different negative tachyon powers. He uses different, but he's like Dr. Manhattan, but it's an upside-down doctor thing. Whatever. But I think there's another not extra dimensional. That's very important not to say that. But for myself, I think it's another supernatural threat that could be born from the stresses that we have today. Dr. Manhattan was a response to the nuclear terror, and now there's a God is real and he's American, that kind of thing. Whatever the equivalent of that would be for modern day could be something that is being created by Trieu, because we really don't know what's happening in that gigantic clock. It's a pretty big clock. I don't think you need all those pieces to tell time, no matter what. I think something else is happening there.
But you also threw out the idea that I find really compelling, that maybe Dr. Manhattan had a little baby Manhattan.
There's a chance, because legacy is something that's repeated often. And also you see a lot of imageries of the separation of a cell. You saw eggs have been used throughout this series. Maybe not like he impregnated himself, that let Tumblr and DeviantArt come up with that. I'm not saying that. I think, though, possibly in the Watchmen comics, the before Watchmen, I'm not saying that this was a roadmap, but just hear me out for a second. We see that he whenever Dr. Manhattan chooses to make decisions, it can literally splinter all of time. He tries to sway who he can be with romantically, and we see that actually is pretty dangerous, and that why he is so docile for the most part is because when he makes decisions, he can see the ramifications of that in multiple timelines. Yeah. What if when he chose to allow the cover-up to happen of what happened in New York, and they brought the world together, and it did work, what if, because we've seen him be emotional, what if there was a split? We know he can be in multiple places at once. We know there can be multiple versions of him. Yeah. What if there's another him somewhere out there? Like, it's very true. He left at the end of Watchmen, and that Dr. Manhattan's gone. Don't worry about him. Yeah. There's somebody else, though. And he is that has nothing to do with what's happening with Treiu. Yeah. It's just another threat that's out there, because I think we're going to have to get to that level of supernatural threat and what it means for Laurie, what it means for the other vigilantes, what it means for the police force, but also like how the world's going to view it at this point, because he's kind of like a relic that's been gone for a long time. Yeah.
And it could even be something even less complicated than that. And because when he leaves the comic, he says he wants to try and create life. So maybe he did. And what that life would have, it may or may not have abilities, but would have a different perception than even him. You know what I mean? Or maybe, because it's interesting that Treiu is from Vietnam and her daughter, probably clone, has these memories. Maybe he impregnated a Vietnamese woman while he was over there.
What if it switched
up? And what would that mean? Like, what would if like you had... Well, do you remember, God baby, you know what I mean?
Do you remember the famous scene with Dr. Manhattan, the comedian?
Yeah, yeah.
Comedian has gotten someone pregnant. Yeah. And he shoots that woman in the stomach and kills it, and kills the baby and kills the woman. Yeah. What if, and we see the big part of his character is that he doesn't care. Yeah. What if he did care and Treiu is that baby? There's that. Hey, that can happen because there's raining squid babies from the sky, and I think that's well within the realm of possibility when it comes to the show. Yeah. But I'm going to guess we're going to see a lot more clones, and that's going to be interesting, especially just with the conversation around it today, where the world is very anti-clone, but in this alternate reality where we have holograms but no smartphones, possibly the perspective of it's different.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah, but I'm trying to make sure I get all my theories out. I'm trying to remember if there's anything else. I'm excited to see in the next episode that we see that Ozymandias is going to put on a different suit and he's going to walk out. Whatever that means, whatever's going to happen.
And also, I think it's worth mentioning, I don't know that anything's going to come of this, but you were quick to point out that there's a lot of Clark Kent vibes with the opening scene with the Kent farm and everything. And their last name is the Clarks and everything. And it's like... it's interesting. It might just be a light homage. You know what I mean?
And that happens a lot.
But it's like, it could be crazy. It's just like, this is this world's Clark Kent showing up, and Lady Trieu just bought him up. And so now she has a Superman sitting around. It's probably not that, but it's compelling. Yeah. Like, it is crazy compelling.
It's got to be some kind of artifact. And I'm going to say it's in that gigantic clock.
Yeah,
it's huge. It's still being built. They're building it for so long.
What if Dr. Manhattan created a whole entire civilization? And it's from there, so it's aliens, but...
I don't know. We're getting ahead of ourselves. Yeah. Let us know what you think of our theories in the comments down below, and let us know what your theories are, because it's starting to ramp up pretty dang quick. The next episode looks like it's going to be action-packed, and I'm really excited to dive into the psychology behind extra-dimensional paranoia and anxiety, because why wouldn't you have anxiety?
There'd be a ton.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm excited to see what that means, but let us know what you think in the comments down below. Make sure you like, comment, share, and subscribe, and check out patreon.com/onlystupid-answers. Sundays, 6 p.m. PST. We're doing live watch-alongs of the newest episodes of Watchmen. Also, keep an eye out for Rick and Morty deep dives. We might be diving into that.
Yes.
Possibly The Mandalorian, if you want that.
Let us know.
I don't even know if you guys like Star Wars. We'll have to figure out. Let us know
Does
down
anybody
below.
like Star Wars? Let us know.
It's really confusing. Yeah. Please let us know. I'm at Sam Basher everywhere that matters.
I'm at DJ Talks Trash.
At Only Stupid Answers.
Yank out the bells from Stupid.
Bing, bing, boom. Until next time, guys, we'll see you then.